Hello, Facebook family. It is 12:30 and earlier I said I would be here to do a lunch and learn. So I want to, you're really nice for you. Okay, great. So I want to share with you that what I'd like to do is I'm going to give you some information. And as you begin to join in, that you ask your questions. Hey, Sims, good to see you, my friend. Hey, Rita, Reverend Paige, good to see you. The way I'd like to set it up is provide you with information on how to build your brand. And you can ask questions. And so I'm going to start with a question. What is it that you want to achieve? What do you want to achieve? Do you want to write a book? Do you want to brand yourself as an expert? Do you want to launch a business? Do you want to get a promotion on your job? Do you want to become the go-to person in your community for something in particular? Because based on what you want to do and want to achieve, I can provide you with some very specific information. So I want to start with the mission. So, and I have to confess with you, this book that I wrote, The Bridge to Your Brand, was literally written as I had studied Jesus's life. And what I realized is that he was real clear on some things. He said, I come that you might have life more abundantly, right? So I took that concept and I said, when I am developing people, all they have to ask themselves is, I come into your presence for what purpose? For what purpose do you enter into people's presence? For me, I enter into their presence to inspire them. I enter into their presence to teach them how to package, position, promote, and pitch themselves to their boss, to the media, to a potential client. So as you think about your life mission, just ask yourself, I come that you may have what more abundantly. Good afternoon, Debbie Epps. Looking forward to seeing you on Saturday for your third Unbottle Your Genie. I'm so looking forward to getting an update on what you have achieved and imparting some new and exciting things during the workshop. So as you think about your life, and I want to pause for a second. I want to ask you this question. And I asked it to my list today. If you are not on my list, go to srenee.com and sign up to get my tips, tools, techniques, some of my strategies. And it's a way for us to stay connected. Thank you, Reverend Paige. I received that from you, sister. So as you think about your mission statement, that's all you have to ask yourself. Secondly, as you think about your message, it has to be something simple. It has to be something that people can grab a hold onto, something that people can relate to, something that engages them, right? So my message is there is more inside, right? And I shared with you at some point, some of you may be new to this, I literally birthed that message at the time that I was diagnosed as being depressed. My fiance walked out of my life. I was fired from my job. And I realized I was either going to die or I was going to choose to live. And when he said, I come that you may have life and life more abundantly, I grabbed a hold of that, but I realized I had to go within to find it because I knew that it was there. It was there inside of me that I would find the abundant life. So as you think about your message, and I will tell you something that's interesting. This is something that I sometimes ask clients. There's many different strategies that I use when I'm talking to clients about how to define their message. But this is just one tip for you. Let's say you, Lord forbid, you're on your deathbed And you have 7 last words that you can speak to the world. Only 7. What would those words be? What would those words be? Hi, Laura. What would those words be? 7 last words. Mine would be, there is more inside you. Because I want the world to know that there's more inside of you. There's more that you can achieve. There's more lives that you can touch. There are more words that you can write and put on paper for people to read. There's another opportunity for promotion, and we don't get promotions for ourselves. We get promotions so that we can be in position to help somebody else. And so when I talk about, you may hear certain people say, oh, you got to get I help you to increase your income and influence. It's not about money. It does take money in order to be a blessing to a church, to a nonprofit organization, to help people. That's why we want more money. But also, where we sit increases our ability to influence decisions. It increases our opportunity to pull someone else through to get to their next level. So everything that I believe that we do it with the intention of not just elevating ourselves, but to become better contributors to the world, to be world influencers. So think about that in terms of your message, right? So the second piece is this, your value. Now, I certainly teach clients how to break down their talent, skills, abilities, their gifts, so they can understand how much they can charge. They can charge either for their book, for speech, how much they can charge in terms of going into the workplace. So yes, I absolutely do that. But I want you to look at value from a different perspective today. I want you to look, and I will tell you, in this book, I break it down how you can figure out your financial value. But I want you to think about this. When you have a conversation with someone, or when someone enters your presence, what do you leave them with? Where do you take them, right? So ask yourself this question. Where are you the gateway to? Where are you the gateway to? Where do you lead them? How do you leave them? How do you leave them feeling after have been in your presence? Because that's your value proposition. So it can be, I leave them inspired. If you're a leader of a church, if you're a leader in an organization, maybe you leave your team inspired. Maybe your value proposition is that you're an encourager. Maybe your value proposition is that you're a shifter. Maybe your value proposition is that you bring laughter to people. Maybe your value proposition is that you make them think and you challenge them. But what value, where do you take them? And the key is that wherever you take them, you need to be consistent, because that's how you build a brand. Because let's say you are really funny, right? When you know somebody's funny, before you even see them, you can see them way off and you'll start laughing before they even approach you, because they have a brand of being funny. Or you'll see them afar, right? And you'll be talking to someone else and you'll say, oh my God, they are so funny, right? Or if you see somebody, you'll say that somebody who's inspiring, you'll run to get into their presence because you know that they're going to inspire you. You know that they're going to make you think, whatever it is that you want your brand to be. So begin to think about, how can I understand myself? Because remember that branding is a process whereby you have a better understanding of who you are, why you're here, what your gifts, talents, skills, and abilities are, and how they add value to the world. That's what branding is really all about. So think about that. The next thing you want to think about is what makes you likable. What makes you likable? Okay, remember that my secret message in here, right? Even though I never mentioned Jesus's name because businesses use it, etc., I just took his concepts, right? So Jesus was real clear on what made him likable, right? Because remember, he said, you don't follow me because of who I am. You follow me because of the miracles I perform, right? So he was clear. You follow me because of the value that I bring to your life. You follow me because of the value that I bring to your life, right? And he was able to leverage that and create more followers. What can you leverage that will help you to get people to like you, respect you, seek you out to do work for them, seek you out to come speak to their audience, seek your intellectual property that you've written in an article, you've written in a book, seek you out to be an expert in your field, right? So that's what you need to be thinking about. The only reason why you're likable is because you bring value to someone else. In Jesus's case, miracles. In my case, I believe I'm an inspiration to people. People always say you're an inspiration. What is your likability factor? Why do people like you? Why do they want to be in your presence? That's what you need to be asking yourselves. And then the other piece that you need to be asking yourself is, and let me pause and see if there's any questions. This is the ultimate goal in life, is to give back. Hopefully there's one chapter in my book of life for someone to use in their quest. Ventura, tell us about your book. What is the name of your book? I'd be interested in knowing what is the name of your book. First of all, we all know that most books inspire us depending on the message that they have. But tell us a little bit about your book. I'd love to know, because as you think about your book, and I understand your intention of your book, but in terms of a book, and this is applicable to anybody, and no matter what product you have, you got to know who your audience is, right? You have to know who they are, where they are, what they want, and where they're going to look for what they want. Because you want to meet them where they are. And you want to provide something for them that makes them come to you. What is it that they need most? What is it they hunger for? Remember, branding isn't about getting likes and being popular. Branding is about creating an appetite for your life's purpose. For your life's purpose. So you have to be clear on it. But what I have found is there are incredibly brilliant people in the world. Incredibly brilliant. And many of them are on this live taping or would watch it later. We're all brilliant. Our light illuminates in many different ways and in many different shades. And at different times of our lives, it shines brighter than at other times. But what we have to really be clear on is, how do we communicate a message that speaks to our audience, right? How do we communicate a message that they will respond to? Because oftentimes when we sit down and we start writing or we start thinking, what we're thinking about is what we need. And we communicate it in such a way that it speaks to us. But we have to put ourselves in their situation. And remember, in most cases, this is really, get this. In most cases, our pain is our purpose, right? So for me, I'll use myself as an example. So I'm gonna show you how I connected the dots of my life. We have 15 minutes. I'm gonna show you how I connected the dots of my life and how I literally launched my business based on a 6th grade experience. So I was teased and bullied from 0 to 12. At 13, I picked up my first book. In 2 years, I was queen of the school, best personality, friendliest, right? Then as life goes on, I was bullied in the workplace. Again, I had to go through another process, right? But my first process was what? I had to build confidence. I had to build courage, and I had to become personally accountable for my life. My second experience, I had to be confident, I have to find courage, and I have become personally accountable for my life. Throughout my life, that has been a consistent message. See, and I don't want to, I'm not going to get real spiritual on you because I know this is branding, but branding is so spiritual. That's why I love it. I love it. See, God, the way he sets up our lives is that there's patterns. If you take time, you'll notice that there's patterns in your life. And those patterns in your life lead you, if you follow them, they lead you to your life purpose. They lead you to the lessons that you are to learn, and they lead you to understanding the audience that he has assigned to you. And so I started out courage, confidence, personal accountability, started in the church to be personally accountable. Stop blaming God for everything. God didn't do it. God did not do it. You did it with your decisions. God, of course, allows it for your own soul's growth and evolution. So stop blaming him. So that was my message. Then people would see me there and they're like, oh, we love that message. We want our students at universities to be courageous and confident. We want them to own their decisions. So then the schools started calling. Then the corporations were like, our employees need to be courageous. They need to be confident. They need to own their space. And of course, that's when I wrote this book and I included branding, because what does it take to be courageous, confident, and own your space? You have to know what makes you likable, right? Because you got to walk in your likability factor. You have to have a marketable message, something that other people respond to. And then you have to understand the value that you bring to other people. So your likability factor gives you something to leverage when you're talking to people, when you're trying to build a relationship, and when you're trying to get a promotion on your job, right? That's how Jesus, he leveraged his gift of miracle working to become likable. Then the awareness of your strengths. All right, so let me share with you what's happening here. I have to angle the camera in a particular way so that the lighting is good, and it's like my arm's getting tired. So the other piece that I want to share with you is about the markability factor, right? So what makes you likable? What is it that really brought you to a point that I hit something on my computer and it started going crazy? But you have to be aware. You have to be fully aware of what makes you marketable. And what made Jesus marketable? His teachings, his miracles, all of that made him marketable, right? Everybody started going out and saying, you need to go talk to him because he can heal you. You need to go talk to him because he's going to speak treasures, and it's just going to speak to your heart. You need to go talk to him. So the question becomes, what are you saying? And what are you doing that is causing people to want to talk to you? What are you saying? What are you doing that's going to cause people to want to talk to you. That's your markability factor. And then credibility. Credibility. And this is so funny, there's so many resources around us, everyone, that we can just tap into and use. And I share with you, for those who just joined, the principles I teach in this book was literally my study of Jesus's life. And I don't tell a lot of people that, but now everybody's going to know. But it's a study of his life and how he built a brand. And I literally take it and I lay it out. I lay out the 6 steps that he took. I lay out how he went about doing it, but I just never mention his name. But that's absolutely how I came up with that. Some of the things that I say in there, though, you'll notice. But the last point is credibility. How does credibility come about? Anybody? How do you build credibility with a person? You can type it below. How do you build Oh, everybody is. Hey, John. How do you build credibility? It's simple. Consistent results. Consistent results. When you have consistent results, guess what happens? People say, I want that person, because every time Reverend Page gets up in the stands in the pulpit and preaches, she nails it. Wow, I want to hear her speak, right? Every time Ventura Leak, he writes an article or writes a book, he nails it. He speaks to me. He makes my soul move. He makes my spirit leap inside. I'm waiting for his next book, right? So that's how you literally create a brand. So I'm going to do a quick review. Please ask your questions below. I don't see any questions coming in. I know I'm talking fast, so maybe you're just taking it all in. Hopefully you're taking it in and you're taking notes. First step, you have to have a mission. I come that you may have what more abundantly. I come that you may have what more abundantly. Secondly, you have to have a message. Again, you're going to think about your 7 last words. Your 7 last words. What do you want to leave the planet with? What do you want them to know? What have you learned that has been so profound and has literally shaped your life so much that you would not want to leave this planet without somebody knowing it? Number 3, what value do you bring to people? Where do you lead people? When you have conversation, do you pray for them? Do you encourage them? Remember, I talked about that in the beginning. Where do you take them? And then the next thing is, don't forget your likability factor. Whatever makes you likable is what you leverage. And the only thing that makes you likable is that what you bring to me. The value that you bring to me makes me likable. We wouldn't be friends, right? If you didn't bring some value to my life, if you didn't make me feel better about who I am as a human being, you wouldn't be likable. Because think about it. All the people that make you feel bad about yourself, you don't like them. Even though they may be good for you, they're probably your greatest teachers, but you don't like them. So think about what makes you likable. Remember that what makes you marketable is really being aware of your strengths, because that's what gives you the edge. That's what gives you the edge. Now you may be thinking, as anybody who knows me knows, that I don't believe that we're in competition with each other. I don't like that word. I don't believe in it. I believe that every person has their own unique gifts, talents, and abilities. You can't be me. I can't be you, right? You probably wouldn't want to be me, and I don't want to be you. But what we do have is this unique way, this internal rhythm inside of us that allows us to dance with the universe. It allows us to have a song within our bodies, within our beings, that allows us to just feel and be one with all that is and all that ever will be. And that's what makes us unique, because my song isn't your song. Your song isn't my song. And the rhythm that even when we speak, I was asked this question. I'm about to release a series of videos soon. So you want to definitely be on my list. I'm going to be releasing them soon. And the question that came up, the person said to me, how is it that you're able to, like, when you speak, it's something that you do that just engages? And I said, he says, is it something learned? Is it something that is you? I said, well, I think a part of it is learned, right? I was raised in the church, and I was raised in a Black church, and there is a rhythm within that. There's a universal rhythm in the Black church. It's just different. Doesn't mean that the white church is different, and I don't even like to think in terms of Black and white churches, but it's a reality that there are places where we are still segregated to a certain degree. So I'm explaining to this interviewer, right, who happens to be white. He says to me, you have a rhythm to you. So I think a part of it is how you're raised. And my mother was a great teacher for me, and she's a preacher. But I also believe that we all have our own rhythm. And when we speak, notice how no two people speak the same. Notice how they use the words, how they position the words in their sentences, and how the tone that they use, the frequency of their speech. It's so beautiful how unique and brilliant we all are in our own way. So you need to identify what gives you the edge. What is your edge, right? Not what gives you the edge, but what is your edge? And then finally, remember, there's only one way. There's only one way to credibility, and that's creating consistent results. So tell me, any questions? Let's see here. You're welcome, John. It's my pleasure to spend this time. Hey, Miss, I call you Miss Beanie, Miss Rochester. Good to see you. God bless me with writing poetry. Okay, Donald. Donald is blessed with the gift of writing poetry and feeling things that others seem to walk by. Pretty awesome. Means that you're always present to all that is. What a great space to be in. See my book and poems on Facebook. Thank you for your wisdom. You are welcome. You are welcome. John Moore, good to see you. Now, Rupdia, I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right, but that's pretty awesome. And let's see, my goodness, you are speaking the truth here. Thank you. Hello, Candy, girl, you learned to go. Candy, I sure did. I'm learning to go. Oh boy, that's funny. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Well, everyone, any other questions? I have 2 minutes. I am happy to spend the next 2 minutes with you addressing any questions you have about maybe you want to write a book, maybe you want to launch a business, maybe you want to write an article, maybe you want to become an expert. You want the media to call you. You know, you see, for those of you who see my Tips and Tools for Life with Renee, that was literally me pitching a station, and a lady by the name of Lenita Wesson, she had, and I had reached out to her. She interviewed me, and later I said, hey, I'd love to have a segment in the morning, during the morning show. And she said, well, do a proposal. Well, later she invited me to speak at an event. I forget what it's called. her Princess Wells puts it on. It's in Virginia. It's like the first vision experience. That's what it's called. Vision experience. You might want to look it up. Vision experience. They asked me to speak there. And after that, I followed up and said, hey, I'd love to do this. They put me on air 4 times and they loved it. And as a result, I got a sponsor now. So now I get paid to do it. It was that simple. It's that simple. One of the hardest things, it's 1 o'clock. So I'm going to leave you with this. One of the hardest things for us to do is to ask for what we want. When God gives you a vision for your life, when he inspires you to say or do something, just go for it. And remember always that there is more inside you. God bless you. Get back to work. Love you. Peace be with you today, always, and in always. Bye-bye.